Good morning, everyone. Let us introduce myself. Uh, my name is Sheikh Jansila from Telangana. Today, I have done the topic on what is Python. In this, there are 8 topics: introduction, syntax and semantics, indentation, statements and control flow, expressions, methods, typing, and last, programming examples. Python programming language. Python is an interrupted high-level generalized purpose programming language. It is designed psychologically embrace code readability with its use of significant indentation. Its language constructs as well as its object-oriented approach aim to help programmers write clear logical code for small and large-scale projects. Python is dynamically typed and garbage collected. It supports multiple programming paradigms, includes structured, particularly procedural, object-oriented and functional programs. It is often described as batteries included language due to its comprehensive standard library. Python 2.0 was released in 2000 and introduced new features such as list, comprehensive, and a cycle detecting garbage collection system. Python 3.0 was released in 2008 and was a major revision of language that is not completely backward compatible. Python 2 was discontinued with version 2.7.18 in 2020. Python consistently ranks as one of the most popular programming language. Let us talk about syntax and semantics. Python is meant to be an easy readable language. Its formatting is usually unclutched and it often uses English keywords where other languages use punctuations. Unlike many other languages, it does not use curly brackets to delimit blocks, and semicolons after statements are allowed but are rarely, if ever, used it. It has it has favor synthetic expectations and special class cases than C or Pascal. Next, we talk about indentation. Main article includes Python syntax and semantics and identifications. Python uses whitespace identification rather than purely brackets or keywords to delimit block. An increase in indentation comes after certain statement. A decrease in indentation signifies the end of the current block. Thus, the program visual structure accurately represents the program semantic structure. This feature is sometimes termed the offside rule, which, which some languages share, but most languages indentation does not have any semantics means the recommended indentation size is 4 space. Next, statements and control flow. In this, the assignment statement using a single equal sign. Next, if statement which conditionally executes a block of code along with else and elif, a contraction of else if. The four statements which iterates over an iterable object, capturing each element to be a local variable for use by the attached block. The while statements which executes a block of code as long as its condition is true. The try statement, which allows expectations raised in its attached code block to the code and handled by except clauses. It also ensures that clean up code in a final block will always be run regardless of how the block exists. The raise statement used to raise a specified expectations or realize a code expectation. The class statement, which executes a block of code and attaches its local namespace to a class for use in object-oriented program. The definition statement, which defines a function or method. The first statement, which iterates over an iterable object, capturing each element to a local variable for use by the attached block. The which statement, which encloses a code block within a context manager. For example, acquiring a lock before the block of code is run and realizing the lock afterwards, or opening a file and then closing it. Allowing resource acquisition initialization RAII like behavior and replace a common try finally item. The break statement exits from a loop. The continue statement skips this iteration and continues with the next item. The del statement removes a variable which means the reference from the name to be value is detected and try to use that variable will cause an error. A deleted variable can reassign. The pass statement, which serves as a NOP, it is synthetically needed to create an empty code block. The SS statement used during debugging to check for conditions that should apply. The yield statement which returns a value from a generator function, and yield is also an operator. This form is used to implement coroutines. The return statement used to return a value from a function. The import statement, which is used to import modules which functions or variable can be used in current program. The assign statement operates by the binding a name as reference to separate dynamically allocated object. Variables may subsequently be rebound at any time to any object. In Python, a variable name in a generic reference hold does not have fixed data type associated with it. However, at a given time, a referable will refer at some object which will have a type. Expressions. Some Python expressions are similar to those found in language such as C and Java, while some are not. In this, there are points. Addition, subtraction, and multiplication are the same, but the behavior of division differs. There are two types of division in Python. They are float division or integer division, and floating is point or division. Python also uses the star operations for exponentials. From Python 3.5, the new infix operator was introduced. It is intended to be used for libraries such as NumPy for matrix multiplication. From Python 3.8, the syntax called the Walrus operator was introduced. It assigns values to variables as part of a larger expression. In Python, equal to compares by value versus Java, which compares numerics by value and objects by reference. Python This operator may be used to compare object identities. In Python, comparisons may be changed. For example, A less than equal to B less than equal to C. Python uses the word Python uses the word and not for in Boolean operators rather than symbolic and slash slash exclamatory comma used in Java and C. Python has a type of expressions termed as list comprehension as well as more general expression termed a generator expression. Anonymously, functions are implemented using lambda expressions. However, these are limited in the body can only be one expression. Condition expression in Pythons are written as x if c else y. Python makes a distinction between list and tuples. Python has array, index, and array slicing expression on list, denoted as key, a start stop or start stop step. Indexes are zero based and negative indexes are related to end slice. Take element from the start index up to, but not including the stop index. The third slice parameter called step or stride allows elements to be skipped and reversed. Slice index may be omitted. For example, A returns a copy of the entire list. Each example of slice is a shallow copy. In Python distinction between expressions and statement rigidly enforced in construction to language such as Common Lisp scheme or Ruby. This leads to duplicating some functionally. Python features sequence unpacking where the multiple expressions each evaluating to anything that can be assigned to a variable property as associated in a identical manner to the forming triple literals and as a whole are put on the left hand side the equal sign in an assignment statement. The statement expects an iterable object on the right hand side of equal sign that produces same number of values as provided expressions when it iterated through and will iterate through it, assigning each of the produced values to corresponding expressions on the left. Methods. Method on objects are functions attached to the object class. The syntax existence method argument is a normal method and function synthetic sugar and class method insane argument. Python methods have explicit self parameters to access interface data in contrast to the implicit self. Self is one of the object oriented program language. Apart from this, Python also provides methods often called dunder methods to allow user-defined classes to modify how they are handled by native operations such as length, comparison, and arithmetic operations, type conversions, and many others. Typing. Python uses duck typing and as typed object, but untyped variable names type constants are not checked and compile time. Rather, operators and object may fail, signifying that a given object is not a suitable type. Despite being dynamically typed, Python is strongly typed for binding operations that are not well defined. For example, adding a number to a string rather than silently attempting to make sense of them. Python allows the programs to define their own type using classes, which are most often used for object-oriented programming. New instances of class are constructed by calling the class, for example, spam class or egg class, and the cases instance of metal type itself as instance of itself. allowing meta-programming and reflection. Before version 3.0, Python has two kinds of cases, old style and new style. The syntax both styles in the same, the difference being whether the class object is inherited from directly or indirectly. The inversion of Python 2 and 2.2 onwards, both kinds and classes are used. Old style classes were eliminated in Python 3. There is a table of summary of Python 3's as built-in types. And at last, there are examples. First, we have to write hello world program. Print hello world. Program to be calculated the factorial of the positive integer. First one is n is equal to int into input into type a number and its factorial will be printed. If number of raise valuation, you must enter a non-negative integer. Factorial is equal to 1. For I ranges 2, for I ranges 2, comma 2 plus 1, semicolon factorial star is equal to I, print factorial. The output may comes. Due to Python users arbitrary precisions arithmetic for all integer operations, the decimal type class in the decimal module provides a decimal floating point to a predefined arbitrary precisions and several rounding modules. The fraction class in the fraction modules provides arbitrary precisions for rational numbers. Due to Python extensive max library and third-party library NumPy that's further extended the native capabilities, it is frequently used as science inscripting language to aid in the problems such as numerical data processing and manipulation. Python allows Boolean expressions with multiple equality relations in manner that is consistent with general use in mathematics. For example, the expression a less than b less than c tests whether a is less than b and b is less than c, and C derived languages interpret this expression differently. In C, expression would first evaluate, resulting in 0 or 1, and the result would be then the compared with C. At last, thank you.